Hold on. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I hear you now. I hear you now.
It was my phone ringing, and I'm like, now, friend, I turned my do not disturb on, so what's it giving? I don't know what's going on. Mad people have just called me, and I'm like, I hope the world's not ending. Anyway, moving on. But basically, I had a manager at the time, and kind of the deal was, I don't really know, you ain't never really managed before, I ain't ever really done this type of thing before, so you know, the deal is get me a deal and we'll keep it popping.
Okay.
And if not, then we stop.
Okay.
And that definitely is what happened. I did end up, you know, coming across J-Dot, who is in my joint venture, who owns my joint venture, High Standards. Okay. And then, of course, he connected with Def Jam, and that's kind of how that situation went about. And there were other opportunities for different situations, but I felt like these people, I feel like they get me, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that's kind of how it went about, like a little bit of networking, but also social media. Yeah. Because when the deal was being brought up and discussed, Tunji already knew who I was, because he was like, oh, I've seen this cover, I've seen this one, I know this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a lot behind my reputation already that made it seem like a no-brainer.
That's what's up. I mean, that's really important. I think a lot of artists, you know, even with the oversaturated market, you just got to try to find some sort of way to make yourself stand out. And then once you do, you make your own lane. So that's exactly what. Let's talk about this album. I mean, I consider it an album, but it's an EP. But I didn't tell you. Let's talk about, you know, the concept behind it, how it came about. You worked with some heavy hitters for this album. You were Eric Hudson and Bongo Is the Way. Tell us about like how, you know, this EP came about, and just like, you know, the process behind it.
Yeah. I mean, as an independent artist, you can really only do what you have the power to do, who you know, what budget you got, you know, and your connections, etc. With a label, they can put pieces together that you couldn't do yourself, you know? So a lot of amazing artists like London on the track, I mean, and even Babyface wrote on Spend It, like a lot of pieces I couldn't have put them together, you know, as much as I wanted for myself. So it was really just a matter of my label doing their part to put me in the right rooms and, you know, do a lot of trial and error on different sonics and different topics, different subject matters, different styles. I had some crazy songs where I was like, let's just go there. And it was like, oop, no. And then others where I was like, this is mad soulful too. Yeah. But it didn't hit in the same way that I see. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like we were a bunch of chemists, and we're just trying to find this right formula. And even now with what I didn't tell you, the deluxe, it's still ever evolving, still figuring out like what songs people really gravitate towards, like what songs do you get over after a while? Like after a while, I ain't really living for this one. What songs stick, you know? Like it's all about building up this formula.
Yeah. Sorry, I want to make just excuse me, I'm in New York right now, so I'm like right in Manhattan. So if you hear like sirens and like yelling.
Okay, I was like, prayers up, hope that they are okay, Lord. Put that fire out in Jesus' name.
New York is a literal noisy city. So let's talk about I See You, right? That seems to be really one of the fan favorites. It's not my favorite. I love No Chaser. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
But I See You. Let's talk about that, because I feel like that was like the moment that everyone was like, oh no, like this is like oh no, she got it. You know what I mean? And I see so many people talking about it. I see so many people tweeting about it. Tell us how that song came about. Kind of, you know, what the creative process behind that one was, and like, you know, how do you feel about? I mean, it's a single clearly. So how do you feel about that record?
Yeah. I See You. I knew I did my big one on I See You very much humbly, but just because of how I felt singing it. Like that song is like heavy, you know, like this is emotional and it's real, and I'm uncomfortable writing this and singing this. I'm in here crying. Like this is just, I know I did my thing, because when music feels like that, when it's hard and it's heavy and you're like drained because you gave it everything, you know, like, you know, you did something special. So I know that it was a huge song. I had mixed feelings about putting it out, because I didn't want people to love it so much that they only want to hear me sing like that. Because I'm like, I'm not trying to be all emotional on the track every
Right.
time because this is too much. This
Right.
is too much. No, I
Right.
want to be able to have fun